Okay, yeah, I just changed it. I just changed it. Yeah, anybody that's talking will be on the screen. Right now, she's showing one graphics like that, so that's what we're explaining. Okay,
Good evening and welcome everybody. If you can hear me, can you reply in the chat section so we know that we are audible? Hello? If you can hear me, just say hi in the chat section.
Yeah, hey.
Welcome everybody. Welcome to this evening's meeting. This meeting is organized by the Center for Leadership, Innovation and Creative Knowledge Play. And the purpose of this forum is to mark the World Mental Health Day and, go into the theme, discuss the theme of this year's World Mental Health Day, which is greater investment, greater access. 2020 has been a whole journey. There has been so much that has changed. in both the economic perspective of the world, in our daily lives, everything has changed. And this means that even the mental health sector has been affected as well. So this discussion is just to bring to the forefront what we are going to be talking about. How can we ensure that there is greater access to mental.
I'd like to welcome everyone here today. It's a pleasure to have you on board, and I also want to especially welcome the Honorable Commissioner for Health for River State, Dr. Beta AP, and the Director General for River State and Health Care. As earlier mentioned, this event is organized by the Center for Leadership Innovation and Creative Knowledge, a foundation that was set up almost 3 years ago, and we've been running on different programs aimed and targeted at young people, targeted at raising up leaders and individuals who create and provide change in their environment. We are the Youth Center with various activities, various components that form the center. We have different programs inspired by RED, which is our program, the Thinking Lounge, which is our brain and thinking room. Everyone for the last 1 year that's also been notable personalities to us. And then we also have JF leadership sessions, which is sessions for talking on leadership, and a few others that are coming down the road. The Blue City Project, which is corona lockdown, so it's been announced for the last months, and a lot of us have faced certain challenges in our own ways. Some of us were uncomfortable sitting at home for a long time. Some of us found it challenging, not being able to have a source of income and not being able to do anything. Nope. I want to use the word mental issues because we have sort of used that word in a derogatory way and manner, such that once you use that word now, it makes it look like people who have challenges in the mind, people who are dealing with emotional trauma, emotional drama, and all of that. And for lack of a better word, people who are actually suffering from mental related issues. These guys may have been affected more than we know or more than we can imagine, because imagine them being locked in spaces. People who are dealing with I think you guys call it, the doctors or medical people, you guys call it post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD. People who are dealing with all these kinds of issues, being locked down for 8-9 months, not being able to go anywhere, and of course, that with limited access to be able to talk to people or get help in a lot of places, they must have felt the massive impact of the lockdown. Today is being celebrated globally as the World Mental Health Day, which is a day set aside to focus on providing support and input towards those dealing with mental health issues. And the theme for this year is greater investment, greater access, which is basically to provide us the opportunity to give and offer more than talking towards people who are dealing with these issues. Now, we organize this. Let me just say this to our guest speakers and facilitators. But basically, for us as a youth center, we are organizing this primarily for ourselves. We want to be selfish. At the end of this, we want to be able to have greater knowledge and understanding from those of you professionals, Dr. Udofia, Dr. Beta Edu, Dr. Janet, Elizabeth Ita, and the other gentleman who will be speaking. We want to be able to get inputs from you, an understanding of how we can help people who are dealing with mental health issues and what we can do to make it more effective. I don't believe hashtags and social media chants and rants can solve anything. I believe in a call to action after everything. So for us at the Center for Leadership, Innovation and Creative Knowledge, we want to end this event having outlined 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps that we would have learned or received from you that can help us become more engaging with the people who are dealing with these issues. In other words, we want you to send us on assignments to people to help deal with people so that it's not a once in a year activity. We don't want to do a once in a year activity. We are actually looking at developing a program or programs that can help people dealing with mental health challenges. I hope this sets the pace and sets the course for the discourse tonight. And I'm hoping that the speakers will be able to steer us and channel us in that direction so that we have an action plan at the end of this. What do we do? How can we get greater investment into this area? How can we give greater access, to people who are dealing with stuff? Is it for medical help, or is it medical resources? Is it health resources? Whatever we need to be able to help them is what we're looking at. I'm
Tadi
hoping
Anthropodo Anonymous.
I'm hoping that at the end of this, everyone will be able to, get something. Like I said to Dr. Amaka, we want a call to action from the end of this. So I thank you all and welcome you for this. I just wanted to give a direction and a light as to why we are doing this. We've been operational now in Cross River. C.L.I.C.K is operational now in Cross River and as well as in 7 other states. We have cells, what we call cliques in 7 other states, or the Thinking Lounge in 7 other states. That we hope that from this, as they are participating, we can take this and use it to help them also. So whatever call to action we're grabbing from this, we're sending it as well to 7 other states, so that they can, you know, um, to benefit from it and use it in their sector. So thank you very much, everyone. I'm looking forward to hearing and listening to the guests, to the specialists in the house, Dr. Ubong, Dr. Beta, Dr. Janet, and Elizabeth. We want to hear from you. So I will take my leave right now and leave the stage for Amaka to handle the rest. Thank you very much. God bless you and good luck in our discourse.
Thank you very much, Jerry. Our speaker for today is Dr. Ubong Udofia. He's a mental health specialist at the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital Calabar with a passion for social and behavioral modification in the fitness enthusiast, a writer, a poet, and an artist. His motto is, with good mental health, beyond the sky is your limit. Giving of yourself is a precursor for achieving greatness. So please join me to welcome Dr. Ubong as he talks with us. Dr. Ubong, you're welcome.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everybody. Okay. I'll start in discourse. I'm used to presentations or discussions where I get to see everybody's face to know if what I'm saying is pleasant to their ears or it's annoying.
Okay.
But I'll try to do my best in this short time. So I'm talking on mental health burden, the prevalence, the burden in Nigeria, what is responsible for the disease burden, and the way forward. Now, before we actually start the discourse, if I get to ask a general question, what we understand by mental health issues, what comes to your mind will be somebody maybe naked on the road, or somebody going through the dustbin. The way that the media be that beautiful mind. I believe that brings back memories. But the interesting thing is that mental health issues is a lot more than that. So I'll start by defining what mental health is. Now, it's actually a state of realization where you and I get to cope with your daily stresses in life, get to make a meaningful contribution to your society, and get burden in what they call DALI. That's disability adjusted life years. It's a very simple thing. It means the years that you have lived with disability plus the years of life you have lost due to premature death. So these two things look at burden of mental illness. Now, what actually is responsible for the burden of mental illness? Basic things. You're looking at the prevalence, the occurrence of mental illness. Now, with the occurrence of mental illness, you know that 1 in 4 people have one form of mental health issues. That's surprising, right? That 1 in 4 individuals will have or they have a mental health issue. 1 in 4 families, 1 in 4 members of the community will have or currently have one form of mental health issues currently. That's the general prevalence. It's quite large, 25%. Now, we also have studies that show that when it comes to mental health issues, it accounts for about 13% of the global burden of diseases worldwide. In Africa, it's about 17%, and it's been postulated that it's going to increase by 2020, which actually is actually already increasing with the advent of coronavirus. Now, what are the reasons for this burden? Like, why do we have the burden? Why is it important to actually address it? The reason is this. When you're looking at burden, you're looking at mortality. That is how, for example, suicide has been shown to be the second leading cause of mortality in people aged 15 to 29 years. That is usually the viral, the youth period, the productive years of your life. Suicide has been shown to be the second leading cause of mortality. Also, other reasons for increased disease burden is costs of treatment. Now, it's for a patient, it takes about close to 3,000 to 4,000 naira per month to treat a mental illness, anxiety. So, am I being heard? Am I being heard? Am I being heard?
Yes, sir, you are.
Hello? Am I being heard? Okay. It takes about 5,000, sometimes 10,000 naira per month to actually treat these disease conditions, depression, anxiety. It takes quite a lot of money. And it's unfortunate that we don't have funding. Most of the money that is used to treat comes from individual pockets, comes from family members, maybe contributions from the family members. There is no government support per se. Now we don't have full coverage for mental health conditions in the NHIS. So all of this increases burden. Now, when you're looking at burden, you're looking at things like undefined burden, that is the economic cost. For example, if a member of your family has a mental health issue, most of the money that is being used to treat the person, most of the money will be directed towards this patient. The time you would have spent with your other businesses will be focused on the patient or the individual, and so productivity of the family would not or reduce. And it's also the hidden burden of stigma. Now, stigma is one of the reasons why people hardly come to seek mental health care. We're discussing increased investment and increased access. So stigma, you find out that people would rather come at night or not even show up in the hospital because they're afraid that what is me, they'll say I'm pain, and then this will now also increase the burden. Other reasons that the burden is increased is because of the doctors.
Go live.
We're about 200 million in Nigeria, and about 150 psychiatric doctors actually.
Sorry to interrupt you, Dr. Ubon. Sorry to interrupt you.
Go live. Go live anonymous.
Um,
Anonymous.
Dr. Bong, sorry to interrupt you. We need to adjust the setting. Amaka, adjust the setting for this meeting. Iene, this is where I expect you to act. Of course, today is World Mental Health Day, and we're dealing with people with can you change the settings for you to accept those who are entering the meeting, Amaka and Iene? Can you do that? I like that. Sorry, Iene, we'll get back to you so that we can control this. We have, I think you opened the meeting up to anybody to enter. Please can you change the settings? Iene, are you there?
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. I think Amaka should be able to block the person.
I think we should continue.
Yeah.
I'm removing the bots as we
Check your settings. Check your setting on Amaka. There's a setting that allows you to confirm those who enter the meeting and adjust it. Iene, can you help us with that now? Do that in the background while we do the meeting, please. Sorry, Dr. Ubong, go ahead. You have 5 minutes.
Okay. So
Yes, sir.
with the increased
Yes,
burden,
yes.
okay, increased burden, we have an
Yes,
increased
I'm seeing,
prevalence.
but I feel
Now,
Amaka should be able to block the
about
person.
14.4% of people in Nigeria have used substance, Indian hemp,
Okay,
uh,
now she has the agreement
codeine,
and she
morphine in the last 1 year. That is as at 2018. A study confirmed this. That's about 14.3 million people in Nigeria have actually used substance, and it's increasing, which is the sad thing. And also, with the advent of COVID-19, you get to stay in your house, social interaction is not there. So you're going to see increased cases of depression, increased cases of anxiety. You have seen some pictures actually that say that depression is not really looking sad. Somebody can be smiling and actually have depression. Now, if you're taking anything home from this small discussion, it's about mental health. The point that a friend, a neighbor, a family member, or a colleague is not able to meet up with his daily responsibility, his daily job, and cannot cope with the day-to-day stress, you find out that this person is not really meeting up. That should take your mind, okay, there is a problem in his mental health. If there's anything you are actually taking home from this is actually what you should take home. Now, what's the way forward? The first thing is that policy. I bet that the other speakers will discuss from the economic and the social aspect of mental health. But policy is very important. With good policy, you'll find out that there will be funding, there will be increased manpower, there will be advocation, there will be greater access. That's why it's called increased investment, then increased access. But now, other things that that you can do at your basic level when you observe this. First,
Go live. Go live.
I don't have access
talk
to
to
admin side, but I'm
the person who you feel of responsibility, rather than say he's lazy, he's a coward, he's not, he's just lazy. Look at this from the mental health aspects. Okay. Now, the way forward is simple. First, most mental health issues start during childhood. Your birth, coming for antenatal care, good nutrition as a child. Spare no expense towards your children's nutrition. It's very important. No matter how expensive it is good for cognitive development. The difficulty you have with feeding a child, you are putting him at increased risk of a mental illness. Also, most of the people who use substance start from secondary school, SS1 to SS3. At this point, there should be promotion. We have drug-free clubs. We have advocacy. Taking this talking to the secondary schools, the marketplace, the churches. So also, a study in Calabar within the South showed that about 50% of people living in Cross River actually know that mental illness is caused by brain problems or psychological problems. Other percentages believe it's caused by spirits or demonic possessions, and thus you find out that the first point of care is prayer houses. So first, identify a problem. Now, number two, refer the person to a specialist or give advice. Now, a take home is this: with mental health, you can do something
Hello?
about it.
Okay.
Today, we have
Can
the
anybody
move
hear me?
called we have the move
You
called
can hear me
move.
reply in the chat box.
Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. Okay, thank you. So, the first thing is knowing how to identify the problem. Now, we have this thing called Move. It's a hashtag. You can do it on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok. Move for mental health. It's just meant to create
Okay.
awareness at your personal level. Post a
I just
picture of
sent
what you
her. I
enjoy
just sent
doing.
her
Is
a
it
link
eating?
to
Is
the
it
job
dancing?
and
Is
the
it
browser.
any art or
Because she's
craft? And
complaining
then
that
put
she's
a
not able to
hashtag
person, but you
Move
know,
for
if you
mental
just
health.
block
It's
the
a starting
person, there
point
are
that
three
you can
options there.
actually
You have pin, then you have one
initiate
minus
at
sign.
your
You press
individual
one
level.
ball. I don't know why she
I
cannot
think
do
I've
that.
talked for about 10 minutes, or do I still have time?
But she,
Hello?
yes, I told her yesterday she was like, she
No.
cannot
But
come out
Obama, thank you
from
so much.
once it's
I
6
think we
a.m. or
should.
something. So
I think
I
you've
just said,
spoken for more
okay,
than
let's
10
continue
minutes, but
again.
it's fine.
Okay.
Just in
But
one
thank you
minute,
so
Well,
much,
do a summary,
assuming
1 minute, a summary,
at the same time,
and your call to action.
Dr. Yvonne.
Okay. In summary,
is that is this
understand
no?
mental
It's
Can you
the
health
hear
thing
me?
is
as
she was supposed to enable
yes, I can hear you.
the waiting room and stuff.
In summary, understand
It's
mental
not like
health
it's not
as your ability to realize
evaluate.
your potential, your ability to make a meaningful contribution to your society, and your ability
But
to cope
basically, even on Zoom,
with
how are we supposed to do the
life's
right thing
day-to-day
on
stresses.
Zoom? Let's say for
Anybody
instance,
around you who is not
on Zoom,
able
anybody
to
can
meet up
share
to
their
this
screen if they want to, unless you set
expectations,
it
usually you
from
should
their link.
suspect a mental health issue, not until a person goes on the road
At this point, we
shouting or
can't blame it
removing
on
his
anybody
clothes that you now
because anybody
suspect a
can join
mental
anything, in as
health
much as
issue.
the
And the way
person on the
forward is
WhatsApp
that
group
first of
or
all,
the
learn
person
to
on the Slack group
identify
meetings.
these problems and learn to speak out. It's a move for mental illness, for mental health awareness. So the first thing, speak out. So that's the summary I could give for now.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Obon.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, from one of the key things that you have mentioned, Dr. Ubong, is, I mean, it's
Okay.
a strange
Well,
fact. I'm just hearing this for the first time.
let me.
The strange fact that one in four persons in families are dealing with mental health.
I think
I would ask you that to help us
maybe next time we are hosting to next time.
to help us further
Anybody
with
hosting it has to
understanding
use the official
what how deep
Gmail
this goes.
account
If you have any
so that
source that
maybe
you
the
can share
technical
with us,
team will be able
please
to
do share
use
that resource with us. You can send it
the
to
same
Dr.
Gmail
Amaka
to
so
have
that we
access to the
can help us
privileges.
with that. All right, Amaka, over to you.
Yeah, that's what she was supposed to do.
Okay.
Yeah, because now we'll be able to actually log in
Okay, our
and
next
make some
presenter
settings.
is
But right now we
Dr.
can't because she's
Janet
using her
David
personal
Ekpeon.
email
She
to
is a medical doctor with a master's in public health from the University of
and I cannot
Glasgow,
request for
passionate about
login
the
details
eradication
now.
of preventable diseases and healthcare delivery to the less privileged in society. She is
I think everything
currently
is fine now.
the second Director General of the Cross River State Primary
Okay.
Healthcare Development Agency. Please, you welcome. for Janet David um, in the comment section. Welcome, ma.
Thank you very
Is she on the
much.
call,
And
Dr. Janet?
thank you very much. Hello, can you hear me? Hello. Yeah, good
Yes, we
evening,
We
can.
can
Ma.
hear you.
Thank you,
We can hear
Amaka.
you.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. So I will be speaking on access to mental health care. Um, I'd like to also thank the first speaker who gave us a robust in-depth information on what mental health is all about. I wouldn't want to bore us so much in the sense that we all know how it's been for everyone in this period, being that we have a pandemic, and one way or the other, we've all been pushed, to that state where if there is enough to actually for people to be considered to have some form of mental stress or the other. And I mean, there's a lot of poverty here and there. People are facing some economic crisis that is actually causing a lot of problems here and there. But in terms of access, unfortunately, in Nigeria, there's very limited access to quality mental health care services. Yes. I mean, we have a lot of people, just like the last speaker spoke about 1 in 4 persons have issue of mental illness. And unfortunately, a lot of people are going about undiagnosed. And that's why some families are having a lot of issues, having a member of the family who is faced with these challenges. I mean, if we're looking at access, we are looking at seeing that as many as millions of people have access to these services, and unfortunately, we don't have enough. Because why for instance, I try to look at Cross River State, or for instance, we have very few places that offer mental health care. And if we're also looking at issues of access, is to see how we can expand, um, more ensuring that more people will also have that access to care. And we for instance, well, I try to use my state for instance, we're trying to see how we can ensure that we integrate mental health care services in some of our integrate into other healthcare services that we're providing right from the grassroots, and all the way to secondary and even the tertiary institutions. So before you even talk about having access, we've actually discovered that there are a lot of barriers that actually hamper access to mental health care. Um, Whether we like it or not, there's still a lot of stigmatization, and this is kind of discourage a lot of people to even seek for care. Um, Even including family members who know that they should try to seek for help, but because they're afraid of what people will say, or what people might have may tag their families, and they've decided to just probably just stay at home and depend on going to spiritualists or going to churches to seek for help. And there's also this poor understanding of what mental illness is, and that has really also hampered um, people's behavior in seeking for mental health care services. Another issue we've also identified that hampers access to mental health services is issue of difficulty accessing these services. Like I said, there's lack of information, that actually regarding where people can actually access the services, and even when we have these services, we don't have enough people rendering these services And there's also concerns about privacy, like I mentioned earlier. And so we we are trying to see that at least health services are easily available for people to they can easily have access to. And once we begin to think about it that way, and seeing how we can also improve on the mental health policy and seeing its full implementation in place, I'm hoping that that will help to improve access and make sure that at least people can also access services. One of the ways that we've also identified how we can ensure that at least there's improved access. If, for instance, somebody mentioned the issue of it not captured in the health insurance. If we want to improve access, we must ensure that at least in our even a benefit package for health insurance, we must see that mental health care services are being captured. Whether we like it or not, a lot of Nigerians, a lot of people are suffering out there. And because some of these conditions are not easily detected, it's beginning to, some of them even end up committing suicide. Like we know that's the extreme of it. And the earlier we can see that people can actually access the services for free, and even for free as well, or at very low budget, without going into any form of financial hardship, that will at least improve access. But in terms of maybe having knowing the right place to go to, and having the right personnel, that has been a huge challenge because whether we like it or not, we don't have enough psychologists in the land. We don't have enough facilities rendering the services. And as the earlier we can see how we can integrate this into, I mean, the same way we are rendering other services, that will go a long way to help us. And that actually brings me to the issues of how we can help improve access, and see how well we can prevent some of these problems that we have, and some of the control measures that we also have on ground. For us, we are considering, like I mentioned earlier, seeing that at least services or intervention can actually start right from the grassroots. That's digital primary healthcare. One of It's expected that at least one of the services that should be captured at the primary healthcare level is also on mental health. However, we've not really felt that. People have not really felt that, and that's why we are working with even the tertiary institution and the secondary health institution to see how they can help us train health workers who will help or at least identify those early signs or those key signs, so that at least we know the right intervention or the right thing to do, whether to refer the person to the next point of care, and how we can at least help people they themselves recognize that they're possibly having a mental breakdown. And so part of it is we at least we're also trying to see how we can intensify sensitization at the grassroots, because some people always attribute some of these things to be some form of family curse, or probably some spiritual attack, or yeah, and all that. And like the earlier speaker talked about the issue of making sure that at least pregnant women come to the health center to attend antenatal care, access antenatal care services. At least, well, we are really emphasizing that because um, the kind of services that the mother also receives, and can actually affect the kind of the child the mother delivers. And if you ensure that at least when you're pregnant, you can at least attend antenatal care services, and also ensure proper nutrition, there's that possibility that you can also have a well balanced child. And so we are advocating that strongly, and that's part of the things that we advocate, that these mothers must ensure, I mean, pregnant women must ensure that you make yourself available for antenatal care services. And at that level, we also expect that at least we should be able to offer proper counseling, to people who come into our health facility. One of the things that I always emphasize when I'm speaking with health workers, I always let them understand that that pregnant woman that comes to the health facility, probably she's even the one that cooks in her house, that cleans in her house, and she doesn't have any rest. But the little time she comes to spend in your facility, she's actually there, psychologically crying for help. You may just want somebody to pat her back and tell her it's okay. And at that level, mere talking to her, counseling her, you're already rendering some form of mental health care services to that lady. And it's important for as a healthcare giver that you should be able to identify some of those pointers that actually shows that probably somebody is going into a mental breakdown. And that's why, like I said, we want to strongly integrate that behavioral and mental health services to see that at least at that community level it's being rendered. And we know one of the challenges we usually have that affects providing such services, issue of the right workforce or the right personnel. Most of the care that is being offered to people with mental breakdown are usually considered to be specialized care. However, I think it's important, like I mentioned, that at least there should be that form of tax shifting where professionals can still teach health workers on how to identify some of these signs. So it's really, 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 really important. Another thing that I think will be key is the formation of maybe youth centers everywhere in every community. Because that's one of the things that we've actually seen that has really, really worked. At least even in the states, we have some of those centers where youth can actually have access to. It's more like a one-stop center where several services can be rendered. Whether you're talking to them about drugs, whether you're talking to them about other mental health issues, you're talking to them about sexual issues, you're talking to them about several other issues. That's one of the things that I really strongly advocate that we have in each community. The good thing is that we have organizations that actually support this, especially those organizations that are working on HIV, AIDS, and all that. So we can actually leverage on that to see how mental health issues can also be discussed. And that's some of the things that will really, really, really help us. The good thing is that at least for us as a state, we are looking to see that strongly implemented people with mental cases can have access, to the services they really, 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 really desire and should have. And I hope, as a country, that at least we can pay more attention because most times when it comes to mental health, like people are left or families are left to cater to their families or their loved ones. It's not necessarily the problem of the government, because the same attention that we give to malaria, TB, HIV, I know that it's not being given to mental health issues. And I believe the sooner or the earlier we as a country can actually identify the fact that we are having more and more people having mental breakdowns, going into drugs, our young children, experimenting with drugs and doing all sorts of things. And the earlier we can see how we can create more awareness on that, it really, really help us to reduce the prevalence of in our country. So for me, I think sensitization and advocacy is key, and I want people to know that they at least they can go into any health center and still talk about issues of mental health, and I'm certain that they can be referred to the right facility where proper care will be given. Although I still expect that at least we still set up homes, and also while leveraging on existing ones to see that at least we can improve access to quality mental health care.
Thank you very much, Ma. Um,
Dr. Janet, thank you so much. I have two questions for you quickly before you go. And I don't know if you quickly speak to that. You spoke about, when you started talking, you were talking about mental health. Dr. Janet, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello? So
I can hear
okay, you said, um, what exactly is mental stress? Because when you were speaking, there's something I picked out, which is mental health challenges are as a result, or sometimes are as a result of mental stress. That means there are some cases that mental stress causes mental health challenges. So can you please quickly, in a nutshell, in about a minute, tell us what mental stress is and what causes mental stress, so that we can use that as part of our advocacy material. Because it's something that I know that we can do immediately. But we need to have more understanding.
Right.
What is mental stress? And what causes mental stress?
Okay. So a lot of things in our environment currently can has led to a lot of people breaking down and having some form of psychological breakdown, as I might call it. Um, let's say, for instance, at least even with the pandemic, you already know that for instance, I even use my health workers. Having to know work in an environment where you know that there's COVID-19, and probably the fear that you might have to, you might even contract that. That's enough to cause some form of difficulties, some form of stress already. And let's say, for instance, someone who has a lot, probably the work is so demanding, probably the kind of work that you do can be so demanding where you don't even have time to think about your family. You don't even have time to have time to spend with your family, and sometimes even probably the funds, the money you're even making is not even enough to solve some of your challenges you have around you. That's enough to cause a lot of psychological breakdown. And even like I said, I still kind of refer to even our the COVID situation where students are trying to even adapt to online classes, because right now they are so anxious and they're not even certain about their future, and even the common ones that we found where probably spouses who were not spending so much time with their families, or with their wives or husbands, having to spend so much time in the house, and they feel so overwhelmed with probably the stress at work or at home, having to do all the things that probably they were never doing before, maybe because they don't have help. Or
Okay.
even mothers who probably you don't even have any nanny in the house to help you. You're catering to your husband's needs, you're catering to your children, you're being pulled in different
All right.
directions.
Sorry to cut you. Sorry to cut you, Doctor Bennett. I know that you are an expert. You are a subject matter expert in this area, and then you can go on and on. So, what what we're trying to say here is you need to be able to develop um, a way of avoiding mental stress.
Yes.
And in 30 seconds, how can you avoid the stress of financial pressure, the stress of marital pressure, the stress of children pressure, the stress of school? How can you avoid it? What is the solution? Please, in 30 seconds, because we need to move to the next speaker. 30 seconds.
Okay. So first of all, like I always tell people, by talking to someone goes a long way to relieve a lot of stress. In our environment, people bottle up a lot, and that has led to a lot of depression and all that. So talk to someone. In terms of finances, don't bite more than you can chew. Don't, for instance, why don't you cut your material according to cut your material according to not even the material, cut your coat according to the material, not your size. And try to manage whatever it is that you have. Be contented with what you have. Don't go about looking at things that you can't afford. That will really help you to reduce the stress. and you need
Right.
to also plan.
All right. All
Planning
right. Thank
is
you
key.
so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Janet. It was good having you. I'm going to talk to you on one-on-one. I have to hand over back to my boss so that I thought she's frowning where she is now. Dr. Maka, sorry for that. I just let you get something. Go ahead.
It's okay, sir. Our next speaker, thank you very much, Dr. Janet. That was really enlightening. Our next speaker is Elizabeth Ita. Elizabeth Ita has a bachelor's degree in radiography and radiological science, as well as certification from prestigious institutions like the London School of Tropical Medicine and Hygiene, Microsoft, and We Africa. She's a devoted volunteer who has worked with many notable organizations and the founder of C.L.I.C.K, a peer-to-peer support group that reaches thousands, raising awareness on mental health issues in Nigeria. Elizabeth, you're very welcome. Are you on this call? Can we welcome her in the comments, please? Elizabeth, can you hear me? Okay. You have to unmute your mic. So she's on here, but okay. So if she is not available, I'll have to move on to the next speaker. Maybe she's having some network issues because she is here, but it's just not her voice audio is not coming up. So I'll move on to the next speaker, which is Dr. Betta Ogu. She's a medical doctor with a master's in public health from the prestigious London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. She was the first Director General, Cross River State Primary Health Care Development Agency. She's a known philanthropist and a God-fearing woman. She's Honorable Commissioner for Health, Cross River State, who was recently awarded the Health Commissioner of the Year award. You're very welcome, Ma.
Thank you.
Elizabeth will come back to you after the Honorable Commissioner is done speaking.
Thank you so much.
You're very much welcome.
Thank you. A nice.
So I wanted to start with a question for you, Ma.
Okay, go ahead.
So the theme of this year's World Mental Health Day is greater investment for greater access. So I wanted to know what it spoke to you, like what it meant to you when you hear greater investment, greater access in mental health. What does it mean to you?
Okay, so thank you very much. Without going back to stating the problem, I'm sure we already know that 1 in every 5 persons in Nigeria will have some mental health issue at some point of their lives. Some might be very mild, minor. Some might be really very severe, chronic, and of course, we have a long spectrum of mental health challenges. But really, everybody at some point needs some form of support mentally. And unfortunately, as Africans, as Nigerians, we're gradually losing our communal lifestyle that usually provided some form of support for us. That being said, for Cross River State and of course the Ministry of Health, it's basically like starting from the scratch. Cross River State does not have a mental health policy as we speak. And of course, we do not have a legislation backing it. We do not have a well established um, mental primary health care program. We do not have a well established linkage really between the tertiary mental health institution in the state, and of course the other parts of the health levels in the state. So it's a work from ground zero, but we're happy and we're ready to hit that work and invest as a state in mental health. There are different aspects which are being people are being challenged, of course, different causes of mental health issues. But what is becoming a sort of an endemic situation, or let me use the word pandemic, even though it's in the wrong place right now, because of course, when you talk about pandemic, you're referring to several countries at the same time, almost all around the world. But let me just use it in the context of the Cross River or Nigeria situation. So almost every state is suffering from the same menace right now, which is really the spread, the outbreak of the use of substance abuse by young people. So it's becoming more rampant. Children in primary schools, secondary schools, universities are all involved in this, and of course, even the adults are part of this. So basically, there's a lot of work to be done in Cross River State, and we're starting from the scratch. The first point is to create a policy, to invest in producing a policy that would give direction to whatever mental health investment or implementation we want to do on the field. And that we are ready to do almost immediately. We are working with the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital on this policy. And as soon as we're done with that, we'll be getting legislations to back it up. And of course, we'll try to see how we can incorporate that into our budget. So we're not just going to be providing these mental health services at the tertiary level in Cross River, which is the well established one, but we're bringing it down to secondary and primary. At the same time, beyond this, we want to see that we can have a robust primary mental health care programs in Cross River State, which of course the Director General will be a focal person to bring this to bear, working with the State Ministry of Health and of course the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital. We are also getting into an MOU with them, which should be signed anytime next week or the week after. An MOU to have consultants, registrars, and indeed experts, mental health experts from the Federal Neuropsychiatry go to general hospitals all across the state to offer mental health services once every month, so that at least we can increase access, decentralize the process, because right now, for you to get good mental health care, you need to come from wherever you are all the way to the neuropsychiatric hospital in Calabar. That it does not speak well for access. That doesn't speak well for the kind of healthcare service that we want to provide. Doesn't speak to universal health coverage, which means that people should have care when they want, where they are, without encumbrances. So we're signing an MOU with the Federal Neuropsychiatry Hospital to have experts move into the field closer to our people to offer these services. We are also going to start up a training program where mental health officers, mental health focal persons, mental health nurses, doctors, and other health workers, volunteers will be trained at the various local government primary healthcare levels to work in PHCs and offer services to our people, expert services to our people. So basically, the government is willing and ready to invest in mental health to improve access of mental health. But however, we need to put the basic structure on ground and then build upon it, because if we don't have the basic structure, then whatever we are doing would not really be very, very effective and coordinated. So in a nutshell, government is willing to make investments in mental health. We are working with a lot of partners on this. Several partners have indicated interest, and we're going to work with them on it. And this is our strategy. Number one, create a policy. Number two, get the legislation to back it. Number three, go into full implementation planning, and then after which begin implementation that will be widespread. Fourthly, we would cover this under this state health insurance scheme. That way, more persons can gain access to healthcare without necessarily spending so much from their pockets. Now coming down to the basics and trying to break it down. Like I've said, there are different thematic areas that we would be looking at as it concerns mental health, from the mental health issues that are shaded with old age, to the ones that are shaded with substance abuse, and of course, other mental health issues. We would be addressing them headlong as thematic areas, giving them policy directions and proper implementation as we go forward. So that's really in a big broad picture, broad sense, what and how Cross River State needs to go about implementing the mental health policies and issues and tackling it in the state. Beyond this, like I said, we're working with NGOs. Heartland Alliance, we're interested. The wife of the governor's NGO too is also interested. That's the Mediastrict Development Foundation. And of course, across board, there are individuals that have special interest in protecting our children. I'm sure you know we have children that they refer to as Colombo, and children who are on the streets taking all sort of things, abusing drugs and everything else. These children too would be covered in our implementation plan.
Okay, Commissioner for Health, thank you so much. I want to ask you two quick questions. I mean, really insightful, the depth of work that is being handled and done by the state. Dr. Amaka, just give me a moment. You mentioned the policy drive, towards, making sure that there's an enabling law that allows for full implementation of complete access and care for mental health related. I want to ask you, is it just that policy, is it just being given from the government perspective, or is there collaborative efforts that can be done with the private sector? That's one. And the second question is, you make mention of earlier in your message, talk about the drugs issues that come about with the use of drugs or the abuse of drugs. Um, in your own capacity, how do you think we, as a non-governmental organization and every other non-governmental organization, apart from campaigns, what do you think is the most effective way or remedy to dealing with the drug issue? Because I've experienced that with a lot of young people myself, who have been getting mental health as a result of their abuse. How do you think these things can be done?
So thank you very much. And again, I must thank everybody who had spoken before now for their contributions, and also thank you for this wonderful platform to reach out to as many as possible. So basically, when we are talking about creating a policy, getting a legislation, it's not going to be just about government. We need all the key stakeholders and indeed the private sector to partner with us on this. So we would be happy to work with your organization as well as others who are interested in mental health, to see that we can come up with a robust policy and, of course, implementation action plan going forward. So that is one. The second point, actually has to do with managing substance abuse. It's a menace that has eaten deep into the fabrics of society, and you will not believe persons who are involved in it. Campaigning and giving all the hashtags and social media campaigns and the rest of them would not really go a long way to change this. Yes, I'm serious. It won't go a long way to change it. Remember that
Yeah,
it's just a limited amount of people that have access to the internet
true,
and all of this. What
true.
I believe would be the best way to address this is to have a robust system put in place from the primary levels, which is at the community, all the way to the urban centers, where these people can be handpicked from communities, working with NGOs, working with private organizations like yours, working with, of course, the government public health workers, and other stakeholders to pick them from communities, to handpick them, and then of course refer them to centers where they can get help almost immediately. One of the things which the DG mentioned was a youth friendly center or a one-stop shop that can be able to provide mental health services amongst other health needs that might be important for persons who have mental health. So this kind of places can address the needs of those who have been identified within communities, within places, and referred or carried to this point for treatment. The truth is, they live in communities, they live with people, they live with families. Some families are bothered about what is going on with those who live with them. Some parents are bothered about their children. Some guardians are bothered about their words, but they are not able to come forth and speak. Some of them go to churches to go and serve this complaint and try to get help from the religious homes. But one of the things we can do is to work with both our religious leaders, traditional rulers, community members, handpick these people from the community and refer them to where they can get the appropriate help.
Thank you very much, man. Just please hold on a minute. While we'll come back to you, but I'll like to hand it over back to Dr. Uh, Dr. Maka, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, ma. That was really insightful to see the government commitment to hit the ground running as it concerns mental health within the state. So we'll go back to our speaker that was supposed to be here before. Elizabeth, are you here? Elizabeth Ika. Okay. She's on, but can't seem to connect. So
I'm
in the
here.
meantime, we can move on to. Okay.
I'm here.
Thank
Can you hear
God.
me?
Welcome, Elizabeth. It's so nice to have you. Yes, I can hear you.
Same here. Thank you.
Okay. So before we go in, I actually wanted to ask you an initial question. So I heard about C.L.I.C.K this
Okay.
week, and I'm pretty sure many people on this call might be hearing about it for the first time. So I would love it if you give us a brief overview of what C.L.I.C.K is about.
Okay. Basically, STILT is a mental health peer-to-peer support group that employs telehealth systems to assess the impact of mental health and also create mental health awareness in Nigeria. Summarily, that is just what we do. So we have various platforms that we use to spread the message of the spread mental health awareness, and we have several communities on various social networks that we also use to provide peer-to-peer support. I hope that answers
Okay.
your question. Yeah.
Yeah, it answers the question perfectly
You answered
well.
the question.
So,
You answered the question, Elizabeth. Welcome, Elizabeth. You answered the question. But
Thank you.
so my question for
I
you
think we
is
should continue. Hold on the matter. It answers the question, but it doesn't give clarity
yes,
to,
that's it.
to your various activities and what you are about, what you're doing. So can you just take a little bit, just maybe like 1 minute and just explain to us how you get your things done and what you do.
Okay, our organization is run on a peer support model, and peer support basically is the help and support that people with the lived experience of a mental illness or a mental health issue are able to give to one another. So peer support could be social, emotional, or practical support, but the key is that that support is mutually offered and that it's reciprocal, allowing peers to benefit from the support whether they're giving or receiving it. So over time we've carried out several projects like the body project. We've carried out several online campaigns to talk about body shaming as well, to talk about suicide. We've carried out several campaigns. Today we were on the road to carry out mental health awareness, talk to people about mental health issues like depression, how to deal and cope with depression, trauma, suicide ideation, and a lot of other things. So I don't know if that answers your question.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm not taking it.
Okay, sir. All right. So, somebody wanted to ask me. Amaka wanted to ask another question. Do I go ahead with my topic?
Okay. Actually, yeah. So I understand that, and well done for the road work.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
They were really appreciating. So I heard.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Very well. Yes. I
Yeah,
said,
actually, question was your topic.
okay, my topic. All right. I'm supposed to speak on investment and access, the role of NGOs and youths. While the government or public services are the key providers of care for issues like this and need strengthening, we've seen a steady increase in the number of non-profits that have risen to fill the large gaps in providing mental health services. NGOs are driven by passion towards a certain cause, and many times back it up with commitment and drive. While the reach of non-profits cannot parallel that of government agencies, the quality of care in reaching out to the various stakeholders, particularly those who are discriminated against, like persons with mental disorders, gives non-profits a very distinct advantage. And despite considerable diversity in the range of objectives and types of mental health NGOs, there are various common features that they share. The first one is the perceived need of the community, which is a major factor that leads to the initiation and sustainability of mental health NGOs. And then second is the personal tragedies and first-hand experiences. I'm just going to be talking a bit about the strengths and limitations of mental health NGOs. The first strength I'll talk about is working in partnerships. This is one of the greatest strengths of mental health NGOs, partnerships and collaborations between medical and non-medical professionals, and also between professionals and families. The second is innovations in practice. Because mental health NGOs are closer to the communities they serve, I believe that they're in a better position to be more sensitive to the changing needs and perceptions of people. Also, in that same line, NGOs that offer mental health services may not really have as much perceived stigma from people as formal psychiatric services. And because of this, a lot of people are open to receiving help from mental health NGOs than from formal psychiatric services. And then the third one is transparency in administration. The activities of mental health NGOs are driven not majorly by profit, but by the desire to achieve a basic quality of care for people, irrespective of their ability to pay. In spite of all of these strengths, mental health NGOs have their own limitations and problems. The first one is sustainability, because one way mental health NGOs get their funding is based on projects. That's if they're able to secure a grant, if they're able to secure funding to run whatever projects they're running. Most mental health NGOs run the activities from personal funds. The second limitation is sustainability, and the second one rather is accountability. I've talked about sustainability. Since some mental health NGOs have poorly established structures for monitoring and evaluation, the problem of accountability is there, and there's no zeal for review or for monitoring from external assessors. And then there has been considerable public concern regarding misuse of funds and lack of financial accountability of NGOs in general, which also leads to this same issue. But it's not so serious in the context of mental health NGOs because funds are scarce. But it's important that mental health NGOs ensure accountability or transparency in accounting for their funds. Then the third limitation is scope. most times the work of most mental health NGOs is confined to a certain geographic location, but there's need to expand, the experience onto a larger canvas to paint a bigger picture through influencing policies and programs to cover the entire state and country. Then, talking about the youth, I think one way that youths can come in is through peer support. I think that peer support is a very important um, strategy that could be employed in promoting mental health accessibility. Peer support. I already said that it's the support or help and support that people with the lived experience of a mental illness are able to give one another. I also said earlier that it's based on personal experience, shared personal experience, and empathy. It has benefits for the peer support workers themselves, increases levels of self-esteem, confidence, positive feelings that they're doing good, and increase in the peer support workers' ability to cope with mental health problems as well. And I believe that it can also impact or benefit the health system as a whole, seeing as it can lead to a decrease in hospital admissions for those taking part. Now, the young age is one of the most important phases of life because it's the formative period, that has a very great impact on the future. And because of that, this period also carries very, very strong significance for mental health, since a lot of mental and substance use disorders start at a young age or start during adolescence, and a lot of them lead to chronic issues. The world is moving at a very fast pace. A lot of young people are facing a lot of challenges. Now we've moved into the digital age. We have a lot of very generic issues like substance abuse, domestic abuse, and everything, and all of those little issues that young people face. But then again, we have moving from the normal the space that we're in to the digital space. We have issues like cyberbullying, we have behavioral addictions, we have internet use disorder, we have a lot of things. Street children and those children living in shelters are another vulnerable group of young people. They don't have any family support, they don't have stable homes, and they are frequently exposed to harm due to drug use, physical and sexual abuse, criminal behavior, and violence. I believe that any strategy aimed at improving the mental health of young people needs to aim at bridging the knowledge gaps and should include school targeted programs and community based services. Targeting educational institutions for raising mental health literacy is very important because it can help to curb these issues. I think basically that's all I have to say concerning this issue.
Okay. Thank you very much,
Thank
Lisbeth.
you.
That was really enlightening. I think so far, what I personally have been able to gain from this is an understanding that we need to, both government, the people, organizations, we all need to work together because
Yeah,
everybody has their limitations and their strengths.
yeah, that's
And
true.
that investment in health, mental health goes beyond just financial. We have peer support, we have creating awareness, we have being compassionate. So
Exactly.
I think Jeff, do you want to say something? Okay, I thought Jeff raised his hand. So
Okay.
yeah, that's it for me. So I think we are going to go into the question and answer section. So if you have questions, please post them up. But while that is happening, we have somebody here from Super Nigeria who is here to talk about Super and your mental health. Is he around?
One of the most important reasons why we have the super life guy here is not just because of having him speak about the subject, but most of us do not realize that we all, particularly all of us right now who are partaking here, either those of you here or those of you watching on YouTube, a lot of us are exposed to mental stress, on a daily basis, and in any one way or the other, is sharing or bordering around um, mental health issues. So I'd like for Mr. Okoye to really tell us in layman's terms how to take care of ourselves. How to take care of ourselves, how to avoid mental stress, how to avoid um, mental breakdown. So go ahead, Mr. Okoye, and welcome.
Okay. Mr. Keon, please, in the meantime, kindly write your questions down in the comment section. I already have some here with me that have been sent in. Okay, I don't think
Hello.
Mr. Keon is on this call. Is he? Okay, he's here.
Hello.
Welcome, sir.
Good evening. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good evening.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Contributions from the family members.
Hello.
There is no government support per se.
We can hear
Now
you,
We
we
can
sir.
hear you,
we don't have
sir.
full
Hello.
coverage for.
Okay.
Okay, Amaka, while he's trying to deal with his technical issue, let's go to Q&A quickly. Let's
Okay.
ask some questions so we can let the commissioner and the DG go. Let's go take some questions. All right, let's go.
Okay. So anybody with questions, please. Okay, I have one here. Hello. I don't know if Dr. Obong Udofia is still on the call.
I'm
Go
Dr.
ahead.
still.
Obong. Okay. So there's a question for you. Somebody wants to know the role that religious organizations play in promoting mental health.
Okay. Do I? Is that the only question?
You just answer it, then we'll go into the other ones when you're done.
Okay. Now we need to appreciate the fact that people in Nigeria are a highly spiritual um, community. You cannot take the spiritual aspect from our social or community existence. And like I explained to you, that most of the people that come to our centers usually come from prayer houses or churches. You get to see chain marks, or old scars being beaten. So the way forward is to have outreaches, liaisons with these religious centers. For example, we could have the pastors or the leaders grant us audience to talk in the church service or a fellowship. At some point, we had what they call a focus group discussion to understand what the leaders actually think about mental health, if it's actually cured by praying or actually giving medication. So we needed to first of all have a focus group discussion, understand the various mindsets, which will now guide us into the next plan. And it's not really okay to just shut religious services or traditional services. If they can be informed, okay, even though you want to do your part, perform your roles spiritually, at a point, you are allowed to bring these people to the hospitals. If after one day of praying and fasting, they're not recovering, bring them or invite a specialist or a mental health care personnel to this. But we cannot overemphasize the role of the spiritual help, because even aspect of psychotherapy or psychotherapy, yeah, it can be performed by even the religious personnel. So, in summary, the role of spiritual houses, religious services cannot be left. We have to involve them in our provision of mental health care services.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. So
Okay,
it's saying that there can be what?
Go ahead, but I'm just saying that Mr. Koyong
Okay,
is
but
available
let's
now.
take the second question and then you go to repeat. Okay. So this question is from Mirabel. The question says, when someone opens up to you about something they are dealing with based on their mental health, what are the things I shouldn't say to my friend who is having challenges with their mental health?
Sorry, I didn't get the question. Could you repeat it?
Is Elizabeth there? Okay. What do you say to someone who opens up to you about their mental health, what they are dealing with mentally? What shouldn't you say to people who are having challenges with their mental health? I think Elizabeth and Dr. Obong, you can answer this one. But Elizabeth should go first. Because ladies first. Elizabeth, are you there?
Okay, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Dr. Obong,
Can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, all right. Sorry. Okay, so I was saying that when somebody close to us is struggling with something, it's really difficult to know what to say to them. But I think the singular most important thing is not to discredit, their experience, because you are not them, so you don't know what they're going through at a particular point in time. And I think that discrediting some people's experiences are one of the factors that causes them not to open up. So saying things like it's all in your head, can make somebody and trivialize their emotional whatever it is that they are going through. Telling them things could be worse. This person lost their job, this person did this happened to that person had an accident, broke his leg, lost his house, things could be worse. Crediting the experience. So for people that have never experienced a mental illness of some sort, it can be difficult to understand that depression and other mental illnesses do not have any. When we make of comparing other people's problems, we run the risk of belittling their experiences, and that is not a good thing to do. Another thing not to tell somebody who may be going through a mental health challenge is snap out of it. Cheer up, let it go. It sends a very damaging message. Can you hear me? Hear me?
Yes, we can.
Did you hear anything I said now?
Absolutely, Elizabeth. We heard everything.
Yes,
you
we're
said.
hearing.
Okay, all right, that's lovely. Thank you. Okay, so I was saying that telling somebody snap out of it, cheer up, just let it go. And the damaging message it sends is that mental health is something to be ignored, something to be endured, or it's something to be both ignored and endured. And that is not what we are trying to do. Mental illness is not a switch. You can't flick it on and off. Okay, I feel depressed. Then all I need to do is just to flick a switch and then I feel undepressed. It doesn't happen that way. And then I think something else is let me see. These two shall pass, I think. I think this is something that most times we frequently tell people, right? While it takes time for a mental illness to pass, sometimes people need professional treatment, they need medical treatment, and they need non-judgmental support. So I think that's just it. I think I'll just add one more before I just stop there. Something else not to say to someone going through a mental illness is just try to be positive. This implies that when you're providing suggestions to people, telling them that they can treat their mental illness with a simple attitude adjustment, and that is highly unrealistic. It's just like telling somebody that has cancer to think happy thoughts, think positive instead of going for therapy. So I think basically that's just what I have to say.
Thank you very much, Elise. Uh, um, so, Mr. Ekoyong is around. So please unmute your mic, sir. Mr. Ekoyong. Okay, so I'll just take the last question. And the last question was actually meant for the Honorable Minister, but she's not here. So I believe Dr. Obon can take it. Dr. Obon, the person says that the saying goes that many are mad, but few are roaming. How do you screen for people with mental illnesses in large groups?
Okay. Many are mad, but few are roaming.
Hello,
And
Dr.
how do
Obon.
you screen for mental? Yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me? Hello?
We can hear you, sir.
Okay, the question, can you hear
We
me?
can hear you.
We can hear you.
Many are mad, few are roaming, and how do you screen for mental illness? First of all, the word mad is stigmatizing. Okay, so that's the first thing I'm going to say about that. It's stigmatizing, and it's one of the challenges that we are having towards greater access. Okay, now, like I explained to you, about one in four people actually have one form of mental health issue or the other, and about 3% of this 1 in 4 or 25% are the ones who will come down with a severe form of mental illness, where you get to see what the media presents going on the streets, amongst others. Now, so that could actually say that yes, more people than we are seeing on the streets actually have mental health issues, but just a few of those people are the ones actually on the streets. So now the ones who are not on the streets, people feel that it's just a normal thing and they do not need help. Okay, now how do you screen for mental illness? Now you have to know what you are actually screening for. Are you screening for drug use problems? Are you screening for schizophrenia? Are you screening for bipolar or depression? you have to know what you're looking out for. For example, in children, you have specific mental illness that are more common among that age group. Among the older ones, you have specific mental illness. Also, location dependent is also important. Job description, you have certain mental illnesses that are common. Now, if I'm going to a secondary school and I want to screen for mental health issues, I'll be more focused on substance use. Like I explained, majority of people that use drugs starts around secondary school, usually at 19 years of age, SS1, SS2. That's where the use of substance starts. So if I'm going to a secondary school, I will start with substance use, alcohol, Indian hemp, and there are lots of questionnaires for that. You have the audit questionnaire and the assist. Audit is alcohol use disorder involvement tests, while assist is alcohol, smoking, and other substances involvement test. Okay, now after if I'm now going towards work environment, I'll be looking out for things like anxiety or depression because these are what is actually more common among your working class. Now, it's also important to note that you cannot screen for all mental health issues. Sometimes they come to you, sometimes they have to come to you, other time that's why, like I said before, the burden of mental health issues in Cross River State, 75% of those who need mental health services are not getting mental health services. The aim of this mental day is that 75% of those who need and are not getting will be reduced. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Dr. Okay, Mr. Ekpeyong is available now. So please, Mr. Ekpeyong, unmute your mic and start speaking.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. I hope you are hearing loud and clear. Okay, I'll be standing on existing protocol to speak this evening. One of the reasons areas I'll be hitting on is the stress aspect, because during this lockdown, many homes were being stressed up. Livelihood were cut down, and people were being forced to live in conditions where normally if you have told them that 2020 will look like this, nobody will believe. And this reason gave room to many bad social lives. Example, children engaging in hard drug taking just to feel a little bit, let me use the word high, and reduce pressure on them. Okay, I'm in the house not doing anything, like I'm tired, I'm bored, I want to hang out. Adults also follow the same lineup. But one of the things I'm talking about C.L.I.C.K is this. C.L.I.C.K is a company that came in existence in 2017. It's in more than 40 countries, and it came into Nigeria in 2018 with the backing of the NAFDAC license and other registration papers being done by 2018 and 2019. The company has 5 different products, but since today we'll be talking on the mental health issue, I'll be focusing on that area, which is the SNC. SNC stands for Supervised Neuron Care. It has to do with the ability to take care of your body systems and to bring down stress in you. Because one thing that I know, stress also causes serious problems to mental issues. There's a thing I usually say, gone are the days where we do hard work. Now we are doing smart work, because I guess hard work don't pay again. It's not smart work that pays. When we engage in our daily activities, most of us put too much time and too much effort with our manpower trying to make ends meet. And maybe by the end of the month or end of the week, when you are trying to check yourself, your financial income, you are seeing yourself down, being short in some areas. And some people cannot manage pressure or demand for the family. Sometimes it might lead the husband or the wife or the breadwinner of the house committing suicide or doing one thing or the other. But with my little experience or my experience in multi-level marketing, I have seen a way of you trying to save life and also getting something in return by saving a life. Example, it's good that we all need to do our daily jobs Monday to Sunday or Monday to Friday based on our schedule. But we should also know that if tomorrow you are not there at that place of work, that organization, that business will still continue. If tomorrow, today while working on your decks, you fall down or you develop any ability for you not able to continue, I guess you will put aside for somebody to continue that job immediately, because the business must grow and you too must go. Repeat yourself. That is one of the reasons why I'll be trying to talk on a little bit on residual income, because I guess most of the people you see on the street that are stressed, taking drugs, doing one or two things for the men and for the women, maybe doing prostitution and the rest. If you ask them, all of them will tell you, I don't have money. And sometimes some will even tell you the job they are doing cannot foot the bill. Yes, we all know that is not how you work that brings money to your pocket, because there's a little saying that says good evening. I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. Good evening, I'm hearing you.
Yes, sir. I was going to say that in stress management, how does C.L.I.C.K come in stress management and managing your health properly?
Okay, thank you. C.L.I.C.K the company has a product which is called SNC. SNC is targeted towards the stress management to bring the anxiety in you down, bring that stress level, that tiredness, the inability to sleep, or if you feeling dizzy or your head is like a little bit hot or heavy. That product SNC, if you take it, it brings your pressure down, your thinking, that is the ability of your anxiety. It will normalize it to the normal level in you, because the product is being made from 6 different plants. All are plant extracts. One of the plant I'll be talking on, which is I'm hearing you.
Yeah. So stress management, SMC is used for stress management. Where people can get this from C.L.I.C.K, right? Where can they get this from? Because we have to round up now.
Okay. You can get it from any C.L.I.C.K shop, offices nationwide, or you can go online to any shopping mall online. It's available there. There are agents and distributors picking it from there.
Okay.
Hello, I'm hearing you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ekweyon. Thank you very much, Mr. Ekweyon. So,
welcome.
Everybody, I want to thank everybody for joining this meeting today. The Honorable Minister, Dr. Betta Edwin, I thank Dr. Janet Ekweyon, Dr. Obongu Jokia, Elizabeth Peter, and Mr. Ekweyon. I think from everything we've discussed today, one thing we should all take away is that investment in mental health is key, and it goes way beyond just financial investment. And there needs to be multi-sectoral collaboration. The organizations, the government, religious institutions, the healthcare workers, nobody can do it alone. We all need to work together, and in our working together, we are able to ensure better mental health for people all around us. Now we have the last few questions, and somebody is pressing me to ask her question. So please, in 1 minute, Dr. Obong, can you answer this question for me? The quantity said, can apathy for your social environment lead to any form of mental illness? In 1 minute, sir.
So I didn't get that. What did you say?
Can apathy for your environment lead to mental
2 minutes, we're
illness?
done.
Okay. Well, if you're having apathy, you're not actually emotionally responsive towards the ongoing environment, which is actually a problem to start with. Okay, so that could be actually a symptom of a mental health challenge, because with apathy you won't actually contribute to your to serving. You won't be able to do what you're supposed to do at your peak. Now, at the same time, like apathy is basically a form of emotional unresponsiveness in a way. You're not actually involved emotionally with your environment. So yes, it's a form of maybe perhaps stress is causing that. Like I would always say, don't take one symptom and leave other things. In assessment of mental health issues, you need to look at the symptom, the environment, as well as predisposing and other contextual factors. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, I'd like to thank everyone. I'd like to thank everyone for being a part of this event today. It's been it's been a great experience. I'm sure that if you're like me and you were writing down, I'm sure you got a lot of stuff. Some of the things that we've gotten out from, I actually started this meeting looking for a call to action for Click and for Inspired by Rail, and I've gotten more than five call to actions, which I'll be sharing with most of you who have been part of this. Definitely, we will be visiting Dr. Janet Kweong in our office, and Dr. Betta Edu, the Commissioner of Health, whom Mamaka keeps calling the Minister of Health. So, but we will visit you guys because we've got the things that we want to do that have come out of this. Thank you so much. I celebrate all of you. For those of you that joined as participants from everywhere else, thank you for joining. And I'm sure that you have been informed as to how we can better contribute towards making our environment mentally healthy. All right. So thank you, everyone. We'll see
Thank you
you
very much, everybody.
soon.
Sorry for the minute starting.
All right, Lamaka, you can sign off.
Okay, thank you very much. Please remember there is no health without mental health, and we all need to work together to ensure better investment and better access to mental health. Thank you so much. Okay, this meeting is declared over.